It's Monday morning, 8 a.m., and this is how your day starts. Boring. What about if this was your Monday morning? I think most of us can agree that second one is way better. Back when I was in high school, I always struggled with that first classroom. For example, my science lab. Obviously we had lab benches, but they were super uncomfortable, and the desks were really cold, and it reeked of sulfur. My high school was on a well, so it just always smelled terrible down the science hallway. And while I absolutely loved science, I hated going to science class. While this setup wouldn't have gotten rid of the sulfur smell, it definitely would have made it more comfortable for the students to be able to move around and have more of the flexible classroom idea. On the other hand, I was not the biggest fan of writing papers, but the ELA classroom was one of my favorite places on campus to be. The language arts teachers always had some kind of seasonal scent going on that smelled up the entire hallway. They always had comfortable furniture, whether it was couches or different styled seating. And they even also had nice fairy lights or stuff like that, so we weren't enduring the harsh lighting while we were in there. It was a much more comfortable environment for all students. The schools in the video about 13 innovative schools, it shows us that schools are designed to meet students where they are in order to provide them with an education. The way we can make our classrooms more innovative is also to meet students where they are to help them best. So, if providing more comfortable lighting and more comfortable seating is the way to help students succeed, that is my goal as an educator. In the video posted by Nifty, it was basically a compilation of lots of little things teachers can do for fairly cheap to take their classroom to the next level, and that was something I really appreciated, knowing that teachers don't make much money. It showed us future educators, current educators, anybody in the education field, how they can make their space more comfortable for students in the easiest way possible. Another thing that I typically enjoyed about my English classes and more expressive classes over things like science and math were the simple yet very creative and kind of minimalistic designs that our teachers incorporated. Like with our whiteboards, a lot of times they had some structure to them, but they were also very creative, whether it was borders or little flowers or anything, just to not be the plain whiteboard that you see in typical rigid classes. In high school was my agriculture classes, whether it was basic ag, animal science, plant science, mechanics, whatever it was my absolute favorite. And I think that is because my ag teacher did a phenomenal job of making everybody feel included. Everyone always felt comfortable to ask questions, and it was just a really fun hands-on class. One way that I think she inspired everyone to basically have a sense of belonging in this class was with the music that my ag teacher played. My language arts teacher also played music in class, but she typically played instrumental versions of popular music just as some background noise. My ag teacher, on the other hand, basically opened up like a Dropbox where all of us students could submit songs that we personally liked and that we personally listened to, and then our ag teacher would scan them, make sure they were clean, and then she'd upload them to our classroom playlist. And that just kind of helped everyone know where everyone else's headspace was, and I believe that gave our ag teacher kind of an insight into other students' lives, whether they were different from her racially, socially, economically, or whatever it is. There was a TED Talk specifically on ELC discussing cultural context in education, and I do believe that being able to listen to music from other genres and what other cultures listen to does help bring a little bit of cultural diversity to the classroom and help educate the teacher of where their students' headspace is. Aside from the music of it, like I said, ag was my very favorite class, and I think a lot of that was, like I said, because of the type of learning we did. We were a very active learning type of classroom, so all of us students were always encouraged to ask questions, and I believe that's because our ag teacher focused less on just memorizing information for our tests and more on actually gaining knowledge and being able to use this knowledge in a practical setting. We were always either in the shop, in the ag barn, or in the greenhouse, and that's where we were able to really learn what we were going to use these skills for outside of the classroom. I think it is extremely important to have a lot of flexibility in the classroom, and like Chris Cosby said in 5 Tips for Active Learning Space Design, he says that it's extremely important to have flexibility so that students can learn how to modify their space to fit their collaborative and creative needs. I'm sure you have at least a few memories that are actually associated with a song. It is actually proven, and this was discussed in the video How Music Affects the Brain, that music is linked to improved cognitive function by triggering positive emotions depending on the song, which can also in turn lead to enhanced learning due to when you hear these same songs or same sounds, it triggers your brain to bring back that information.